I'm Joseph Tapper with Dr. Janice Tapper. This is Better Health with X39. Let's get patched. Hi, I'm Joseph Tapper, and with me I have Dr. Janice Tapper. Dr. Tapper, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Good morning. Like Joseph said, my name is Dr. Janice Tapper. I'm a board-certified nurse practitioner. I have 28 years experience in my field of study.
Thank you. Now, what we're going to be doing, we're going to look at some videos that literally we got off the internet, some testimonials to this Lifewave X39, and we're going to examine them and talk about it and just see what we find. The first one we're going to be dealing with, Dr. Tapper, is Jeffrey Payton. He has high A1C, insulin. He's on insulin. He had a stroke, partial paralysis, all kind of things. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video, and we'll come back afterwards and talk about it.
Hey, Brigitte, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. What an amazing afternoon, all these incredible testimonies. My name is Jeffrey Payton, and I hail out of Atlanta, Georgia. My testimony goes back 11 years. I was diagnosed with very high glucose numbers. My A1C was 12.1. I was prescribed 4 and 5 insulin shots per day on a sliding scale. And my body was wrestling with the fact that it was not creating its own insulin. Fast forward to only about 3 years ago, I suffered a stroke and I had complete left side paralysis. Now, mind you, my A1C was at 12.1. I had spikes of 300 per day, or above. And having to take these shots were, very inconvenient. And then not only that, but the fact that I had this stroke with left side paralysis, and that brought my heart rate down to only 15% function. Now, with it only functioning at 15%, my doctor had put me on a very stringent visitation regimen because they wouldn't let me go home without a pacemaker. So I had to visit the cardiologist every 6 weeks for an EKG. And each time that I would go to the cardiologist, my EKG read the same thing. The doctors had promised that I would get to 45% function from 15% function. That excited me, but I plateaued. So that kind of sent me into a state of depression, and because I was active. I'm a very active person, used to being busy, just like the other young lady in the testimony. I've been a hairdresser for 40 years. Just been a very active person. In the meantime, it was time. I started the patch back in November of 2022, and Reggie Stewart was the person that introduced me to the patches. Now, I guess you could say I'm a one-hit wonder, one-patch wonder, because upon wearing the patch, only 1 hour later, after wearing the patch, my spike went down from 301 to 170, and that's within my range of 75 as a low and 250 as a high. So I didn't really think it was the patch. I didn't really notice that it was a patch. One thing that excited me, that interested me about wearing the patch, was I heard the word stem cell. And once I heard that, I was in 100%. So after going to visit my endocrinologist who monitored my glucose closely, my A1C went from 12.1 to now 7.9. And that's from wearing the patch on a daily basis. I visited my cardiologist on a regular, and just a few weeks after wearing the patch in November, my heart rate percentage went from 45% to 60% currently. That's a 15% increase. Our cardiologist was stunned. He literally said, I don't know what you're doing, but you got to keep on doing it. He said that there has never been a case where the heart rate after having a pacemaker went from 45% function to 60% function. So I am a walking miracle, and the miracle is in this patch. believe it or not, I didn't know what it was going to do for my body when I first wore to put the patch on. All these miraculous things were going on inside me that were broken, and the patch has helped my body repair itself. So, with that being said, I'm excited about being on this call. Thank God for all the testimonies. Happy New Year to everyone, and thank you for letting me share, Verdita.
Oh, that was wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that he had some great success with this X39 stem cell patch.
Yeah, he had some interesting things. He had high A1C. Now, A1C basically tells you if you are close to getting diabetes, right?
Well, A1C is measured over a 3-month period. That does tell us if you're a diabetic. And that range is above 7, you're definitely a diabetic. But this gentleman here, his was at 12. So he had a lot of risk factors. And as you indicated, he had some cardiovascular disease that caused him to have a stroke. And that's because of the combination of having the diabetes, and high blood pressure also came along with it, high cholesterol, and the elevated blood sugar. We call it a metabolic syndrome. It usually goes in threes. You have high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol will soon to follow if you're not taking care of it early. And because of his risk factors, that's how he ended up having a stroke.
And partial paralysis. I guess that was a result of his heart condition.
Yes, cardiovascular disease is what we call it. Yes, his heart condition, his high blood sugars, which was the blood sugar A1C over 12. That's what you had the risk factor, cardiovascular risk factors.
And then he ended up getting a pacemaker. Now
Yeah.
that's serious.
And the reason for the pacemaker, because he had a low ejection fraction. An ejection fraction is the amount of blood that's pumped out of our left ventricle. The normal rate we like to see is between that ejection fraction between 55 and 60%. And his was so low, that means his heart muscle wasn't strong enough to pump. So therefore, he would either had a very low heart rate or high heart rate. So that's why the pacemaker was needed for him to help his heart, his muscle squeeze to keep him alive, basically.
I wrote down that his heart rate went from 45% to 60%. Explain, what does that mean?
Not the heart rate, but the ejection fraction. Ejection fraction is the amount of blood that is ejected out of our left ventricle that pretty much feeds blood to the rest of the body, help with circulation.
Okay. Now he started on the patch, and this Jeffrey Payton, he had pacemaker, he was partial paralysis, high A1Cs. He was on insulin. Sounds like he was taking insulin a few times a day, which he said was inconvenient. I find that to be funny. But he had all these things and he started on the patch.
He started using the patch and noticed the difference in the changes and changes in his numbers. And that is based off of his cardiologist following up with an echocardiogram, which is basically an ultrasound of the heart. And it'll tell you the things that you need to know.
You said something interesting because I've heard people say that, well, I was getting better anyway. But this gentleman went from just high A1Cs to having a stroke to paralysis to a pacemaker. And then his numbers started improving once he put the patch on. Now, it could be coincidence, but I don't know if a person at this stage, at the point of having a pacemaker, his ejection fracture is going to improve itself.
With the stem cell patch, it repairs and resets our body. So I believe that's what happened with him. He was his body was reset and repaired with the stem cell patch.
Well, the stem cell patch, it stimulates our stem cell activity. And our stem cell activity, if I'm correct, our stem cells are what repairs our body.
Correct.
And his body was in the state of disrepair before he started taking the patch or started using the patch. And once he started using the patch, from what I understand, the stem cells become activated and they start doing the job, which is to repair the body.
Correct.
So it couldn't be just coincidence. it seems to me it's pretty obvious that his healing or his recovery was a direct result of wearing the patch.
Yes, and he noticed it relatively quickly within a couple of days or a week or so. It didn't take him months before he noticed some results, and even his physicians at his follow-up visits also noticed a change with his numbers improving. And your numbers just don't improve so quickly like that. It does take time. Took time to get there, and it's going to take time to heal. But with the stem cell patch, he recovered pretty quickly. He had some good results.
Okay. Well, we thank you guys for spending some time with us, and go ahead and like and subscribe so that we can notify you when the next video comes out. We're going to analyze another testimonial. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for your time, Dr. Tapp.
You're quite welcome, Mr. Tapp.
Your Highness. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Tick that bell. We'll let you know when the next video's coming.